Big 12 Today here on Big 12 Radio, powered by Modelo, exclusively on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. He's Ari, I'm James. We welcome in Chancellor Johnson, Big 12 analyst and content creator. And Chancellor is working on an NBA draft series, Film Don't Lie, previewing the upcoming NBA draft. So, Chancellor, we have a little preview snippet that we can play here on TuneIn and Big 12 Studios before we get to just what goes into this.
Yeah, man. First of all, thanks for having me, guys. Always great chatting with you. For me, man, I've been doing this since I was in college. I went to Arizona State, a Big 12 school, and so for me to be able to continue this, especially on a level like this, it's been really awesome. So for the segment itself, it's an opportunity for me to sit down with players and have them break down their own game. Right? There's all these different scouts and all these different commentators and analysis. People like you and me who always have these different critiques and these the feedback on these players' games. But how about hearing it from them themselves? And so an opportunity to do that with 6 of the projected top 10 picks in the draft. That includes 3 guys in the Big 12, maybe more coming. That includes Kingston Flemings, Darren Peterson, and AJ DeBonsa in this clip that you'll see here. We talked about a bunch, and we'll get into that here in a bit, but certainly an awesome opportunity to sit down with them and have that conversation.
Yeah, I made that way more confusing than it should have been, Chancellor. I apologize. Now let's play the snippet of Film Don't Lie.
He is so skilled. And that shooting touch from our game's top 5 in the country in assists per game. Now DeBonsa working his way closer to the basket. Turnaround, tough to stop. He hits it, plus a foul.
Now they say that mid-range is dead. How have you been able to make a living off of this here?
It really started in high school because I just watched too much NBA basketball, and my favorite players all used the mid-range, so I just wanted to be like them. But
Which were who?
Kevin Durant was my favorite. Shea, I'm watching a lot now. He does it. And, I didn't realize why they were doing it. I just wanted to shoot mid-range. I thought it was cool. But by the time I got to college, I realized how packed the paint was. I realized that, there'd be a lot of gaps, so you would have to shoot these middies to be able to get your start off.
So interesting because Kelvin Sampson said, hey, listen, wherever he's mocked at, what's going to end up happening is Kingston Flemings is going to sit down in front of these scouts, in front of these front office executives, and they're going to sit down with him, and they're going to be blown away when they learn about his IQ and they hear from him and the type of leader that he is. And to be able to sit down with him and have him break down his own game, you could tell that he's a film junkie, and his ability he's so mature for his age, right? And all these guys are, but for him to be a freshman and come out and lead, and be the point guard of a Kelvin Sampson team, that says a lot. We dove into that. We talked about his matchup against another guy who's arguably the PG1 in the NBA draft, and Darius Acuff. It was a great conversation about that and their head-to-head matchups. Then AJ DeBonsa, the guy who's projected to be the #1 overall pick. For me, it was like, listen, we watched so much of him. It was just really cool to be able to get inside of his brain and how he sees the game. How many times have we talked about this season? I'm pretty sure we've had conversations about AJ DeBonsa and his game in the mid-range. It's kind of that throwback, playing style. And so to me, I've always said it feels like when he gets 2 feet in the paint, it's a bucket. And sure enough, I was like, hey, talk to me about it. And sure enough, as he mentioned, right, he used to watch, Kevin Durant. He used to watch, or he still watches Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. And it shows in his game. And then Darren Peterson, the guy who seems to be a little bit more of the enigma of the draft. Super, super talented, but obviously he had a really, let's say, interesting year with him missing so many games, and people were, didn't know what was going on with him, and we talked about it. And there was actually a moment in the interview, in our conversation, where we talked about his matchup versus AJ DeBonsa, and he made, if you remember, he dunked on somebody so bad. He dunked on Kiba Keita from BYU, and he looked at me and he said, that's when they said I didn't care about basketball, so it meant something to him. And so it's little stuff like that where when people watch this, they get an opportunity to hear from the guys themselves and be able to put their own journey and their own story into words. I think it's something that people will really be able to appreciate.
Who's the first pick in your mind? Who should be the first pick? Who would you take if you were an NBA team with the first pick?
To me, it's AJ DeBonsa. Listen, I'll watch him just like you guys did all season long, and his ability to score in bunches. I actually saw him to become a leader with this BYU team once Richie Saunders got out. And then just, you can't teach that size and athleticism. And if I have the #1 pick, right, I'm handing that pick into Adam Silver, and I'm sleeping very, very well because I know that I'm going to have an all-star caliber player in AJ DeBonsa for a really, really long time. Now, it might get a little tricky if you have another guy there who might be able to do similar things as him, but it's not too many guys who can do that in the AJ DeBonsa with that combination of size, skill, and athleticism. Once again, you can't teach that, especially in the modern NBA where you have, you're looking for those wings who can shoot it, who can put the ball on the floor, who can defend. And AJ DeBonsa has shown a little bit of all of that. Obviously there's some other guys even outside the Big 12, but we won't get into that because this is, a Big 12 show, of course. And so to me, I'd go AJ DeBonsa with the number 1 overall pick.
Chancellor Johnson, Big 12 analyst and content creator working on Film Don't Lie, a 2026 NBA Draft Series preview. DeBonsa led the nation in scoring, 25.5 points per game this past year. Do you think he'll average more or less in his rookie season in the NBA?
Oh, it's gonna be less. As great as AJ is, I have a hard time believing. Oh, not a hard time believing. Maybe that's not fair because he is so skilled. But 25 is a lot, especially when you get to the league. I'd have to go back and see what Cooper Flagg was able to average this season. I know he had obviously winning Rookie of the Year. He had a phenomenal year, but depending on where he ends up at, scheme and fit is a big deal. Will he have another all-star around him? Dallas could get the number 1 overall pick. Would they be interested in pairing him with the Cooper Flagg, right? I see, Tavy back there, he gave a fist pump. You would love to see something like that. Maybe the Pacers, what would he look like besides a Tyrese Halliburton? That's a guy who could certainly feed him and give him the rock and be able to set him up like that. But I think scheme and fit certainly matters. But by year 2, I could certainly see it for sure with, once again, how talented of a player that AJ DeBonsa is.
Yeah, Cooper Flagg was at 21 points per game.
Yeah, that's 25 was a lot.
Yeah, Blake Griffin, his rookie year, averaged 22. Carmelo, 21. Tim Duncan, 21. David Robinson, 24. Just going back and looking at some of these. So 25 is a lot. But maybe he is that unique of a player. How many Big 12 players do you think end up in the top 10?
Ooh, let's see here. Kingston, Darren, AJ. Could Braden Burries get into that mix, especially with the year that he had and his ability to play, especially in that second half of the season, how you really turn it on. I think he's another guy that guys will that the teams will really fall in love with once they get in front of him. He's got nice size, can clearly shoot it. Shows competitiveness on the defensive end as well. I can see him being in it. Throw some more names at me. Who are some other projected guys? I want to make sure I don't miss anybody from the top 10. I'm trying to think who else who could be in that mix. But to me, obviously, you have the least of the 3 for sure. And then, like I said, I want to make sure I don't miss anybody else.
Yeah, I'm trying to think too.
Cameron Carr is projected to be top 15, top 20. Chris Sanak would be another one.
I think Sanak and Carr go outside the top 10. I mean, there's just so much talent, all the way around. I don't think Sanak will be there, but Sanak's going to be a really good player that guys, the teams will fall in love with as well, especially with the year he had as far as buying into his role under Kelvin Sampson. And then you look around, look, if I'm a GM or a scout, I'm looking at Jamal Shead, who fell to the second round and made an immediate impact his rookie season and made winning plays and started in his second season for the Toronto Raptors, in the playoffs. It made, as I mentioned, winning plays. We saw what happened, what was in Game 3 for the Toronto Raptors. I'm looking at, Quentin Grimes, who's made an impact in the league. So clearly there is a, when you come through, this Houston Cougar program, you're going to get winning players. And of course, as I mentioned, Kingston Fleming is going to go top 10. I think it's a possibility he goes top 5 as well. And so I'm buying any stock in any guy that goes through, this Houston Cougar and Kelvin Sampson program.
By the way, the last rookie to average at least 25 points a game, you guys want to take a stab at who that was?
Last rookie. Allen Iverson?
Allen Iverson was at 23.5 points a game.
Okay.
It wasn't
Before
MJ.
Allen.
It was not MJ. Or was it?
Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Wow.
28 points a game. No rookie has gotten to 25 since then. David Robinson was closest at 24.3.
I wonder where LeBron averaged when he first came in the league.
20.9.
Wow.
Kobe averaged 7.6.
That just goes to show you how difficult it is to
Right.
score in this league, especially when you first come into it. And if you look at even Cooper Flag had a little bit of a slower start before he really started turning on. But I remember like there were some things like, oh, what's going on with Cooper to begin the season, and then he went out and dropped 50 on guys. But so
Even
as far
Shaq only averaged 23 points a game his rookie year.
only that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. Ralph Sampson 21, Hakeem at 21, MJ at 28.
I think AJ can do it.
Well, let me ask you this: who scores more in their rookie season, AJ or Darren?
AJ.
I wouldn't be surprised if look with Darren and his shooting. Tatum's shaking his head. He's not buying it. Look, we know he can fill it up as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah.
We saw what Darren Pearson was capable of. So I wouldn't be so sure, but obviously such unique and talented players in this upcoming draft.
He's perfect for the Mavs.
Let's see. Cooper Flag.
42 games played. Perfect. Sign you up.
So Cooper Flag averaged 19 points per game in college. He averaged 21 this season in the NBA. So the reason I asked is we haven't seen like a one and done score at this clip in a really long time. I think Kevin Durant was kind of around those type of numbers. Maybe Michael Beasley in that same era.
Durant averaged 20 points a game his rookie year.
His rookie year, he averaged 20.
Most of these guys are around 20.
Yeah.
I just don't know if AJ DeBonce is walking into the league and being a top. That's probably what a top 5 or at least top 7 scorer in the league. I don't know if he'll get there. The one thing I will say with DeBonce that does help him in his case is that he gets to the free throw line.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of players have to kind of learn to do, but he's already has that in his bag. And so, even though he's not necessarily shooting a bunch of threes, he certainly can knock it down. I imagine his usage from beyond the 3-point line will go up as well. The combination of between his ability to shoot the three and the free throws, I think could help him certainly, fill it up sooner rather than later in his rookie season.
So 13 players this year in the NBA averaged 25 or more points.
Okay.
13, quite a few. What about Koa Pete and Christian Anderson? I saw Anderson got an invite to the Combine. What do you think their future looks like?
I'm really high on Christian Anderson, especially with the way, to me, he was the best pick and roll player in the country, especially when you match him up with, of course, earlier in the season before JT Toppin got hurt, they were the best duo in the country. And for Christian Anderson, he's just so crafty in his ability to, get downhill, his ability to pull up. You better not go under Christian Anderson. You better not. That's the recipe for disaster. And his ability to find, his teammates. And if I'm a scout, I look at, putting a shooter right next to him. When you look at Donovan Atwell, and how he elevated Atwell's game and his gravity, what he was able to do with JT Toppin. So if I have, a talented big man, who sets good screens, I would want to pair a guy like Christian Anderson with him. And so, it's really easy to see a little Damian, not even a little, it's easy to see Damian Lillard in his game. I'm not saying he's going to be Damian Lillard, but it's, his ability to, on the offensive end, certainly kind of shows that. And then as far as Cole Pete, I am interested to see if Cole Pete does, he's clearly going to explore it, but if there's any interest in maybe him, going to the draft or going to the Combine at least, and he has the ability to come back. Like, is that on the table for Arizona? Because I think another year could do him some good to continue to develop his skill set. But listen, money talks, and if he's going to be, top 15, which, he's projected to be, I understand him moving on. But, he's a really talented player. My question is, what does he do best that'll really transfer, up to the next level? And so I think, another year in Arizona could help kind of flesh that out. But certainly a talented player that's going to help any team, in this league. But I'm super excited to see both of them as well. You also have, Tune Yesufu from originally who transferred out from Baylor, who, is another guy who's entering his name into the draft as well. So see some of those guys, outside of the, the top 3 in Kingston Flemings, Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonce, I'm interested to see how their projection continues to go out as we get through this next month or so heading into the NBA draft.
Yeah, I could see some Damian Lillard and Christian Anderson. Needs to add about 20 pounds, but it's there. I love it. Chancellor Johnson, Film Don't Lie, is his 2026 NBA Draft Series. Joining us here on Big 12 today. Chancellor, great to catch up, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
Big 12 analyst and content creator, Chancellor Johnson, joining us here on Big 12 today. That will also be our interview of the day, which you can catch at 2:45 Eastern Time, and then again at 4:45, part of our Big 12 Power Hour, which starts each and every weekday at 2 Eastern, 1 Central this afternoon. He's Ari, I'm James. Let's continue the draft discussion between A.J. DeBonce, Darren Peterson, also the Big 12. this isn't an outlier year in terms of NBA draft and just how many Big 12 players are going to be in it year over year when we look at 27. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, powered by Modelo.